Good afternoon, everyone. So we are here for our afternoon session. So okay, we are here for business analysis, fundamentals of business analysis as usual. The class was shifted to this afternoon because of certain technical issues. So today we'll be a little bit revising our work on fundamentals of business analysis, then have a little bit interaction together. So we started earlier by introducing business analysis. We said business analysis is a set of tasks and techniques used to work as a set of tasks or techniques used to work as a liaison among stakeholders in order to understand the structure, policies, and operations of an organization and to recommend solutions that enable the organization to achieve its goals. So we introduce business analysis as a discipline that is after bringing in change, identifying need, bringing in change, and providing solutions to stakeholders. So, as we are now, well, we will call ourselves business analysts because I believe we are already having the informations, necessary informations. We are already impacted with enough knowledge to work as a business analyst. So anybody that does business analysis is a business analyst. But it makes you become more uh, professional if you go in to get your certifications. But as long as you practice the profession of business, the profession of business analysis, you are known to be a business analyst. So business analyst is any person that performs business analysis activities in either in any organization or as a remote job. As long as you practice business analysis as a profession or as uh, as an activity, you are known to be a business analyst. So business analysis, we know as a discipline, we know it helps the organization to understand their structures and dynamics. It helps to understand the structure and dynamics of any company, any organizations. It brings about the understanding of current problems in organizations. It brings about improvement of potentials, recommending solutions to enable an organization achieve its set goals. We know that business analysis as a profession helps to bring in change based on need. We also understand business analysis also helps to identify stakeholders, both the external and the internal stakeholders. So, yeah, in the course of some of our classes, I think we'll talk about some techniques that we use in the process of business analysis. Some techniques we use, in all the activities that we embark on as a business analyst, there are certain techniques that helps us understand what we are doing. It has us as a guide in the process or in the practice of business analysis. Though in the last class I said we have nothing like we have nothing like a must. I mean, what do I mean by must? I mean, we have nothing like this must be like this. The sole aim of business analysis is to bring in value, bring in change based on the need. So when you're in a situation that you are being contracted for a particular job or a particular work, uh, the nature of what you are contracted for will determine what technique that will be employed or will be needed in the organization, that will be needed in the practice of this analysis. So everybody has the technique that he or she is comfortable with using, that he or she is comfortable using in the practice of business analysis. So we talked about certain techniques. Well, we talk about certain techniques. Uh, talk about the MOST. Talk about this SWOT. That's the most, the SWOT. Talk about the MOSCOW. Talk about the CATWOE and several other techniques in the practice of business analysis. So now to now to get to define those techniques properly, as I said earlier, we talked about the various techniques that can be used in the practice of business analysis based um, preferred preference, what you are comfortable with, what you understand the most, and based on the need, the kind of change you want to bring in. What need is the organization having will determine the technique that you will want to use to tackle or to handle such situation and in such context. So we'll talk about the MOST, SWOT, the PESTLE, and various other techniques that we use in different parts of business analysis. We said MOST is a short form for mission, objective, strategy. And we said it allows business analysts to perform thorough internal analysis, because in this case you have to study the mission, the objectives, the strategies. You have to look deep. It gives you a better understanding of the internal analysis of an organization. So, and it helps you achieve and tackle issues related to that's to tackle internal issues. It gives you a better understanding. It gives you a thorough insight of internal analysis of that organization. Because in this case, you are trying to use the technique that gives you the ability to understand the mission, the objective. Every organization is expected to have a mission and the objective of the organization, and the strategies that have been using or they want to use to achieve what goal they set for themselves. So now it helps you tackle internal issues, brings about proper understanding of internal analysis when it comes to business analysis. Also talk about the PESTLE, talk about where we say it stands for the political, economic, sociological, technological, legal, and environmental. This brought about the full meaning PESTLE, PESTLE. Talk about, and we said this model helps business analysts to evaluate external factors. Remember, I said the MOST helps to evaluate internal factors, helping internal analysis. Now, this one and the PESTLE, the PESTLE, help us evaluate external factors, which can possibly, uh, uh, which can possibly affect the so which can possibly affect the organizations determine, and this technique will help us determine the best way to address such external case. We talk about in the course of our class. I know we talk about some political factors, economic factors, sociological factors can affect a business. Here we talk about change of that's the legal side, change of laws, change of policies, economic nature of the country. Talk about the technological part of the organizations and of the country, environmental factors. It helps us. So all these can affect businesses. So now this spectrum as a model can help us to understand how external factors can affect the organization. So now, I know we also talk about the SWOT, or talk about the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats of the business. These techniques can also help us to find areas where the organization, where the strength of the organization or the weakness of the organization lies. Okay, Bolu said, I don't understand the technique. Our last class talked about process modeling and used cake scenarios as techniques. Okay. I can get your question. Like you say, you don't understand the technique. That in your last class, you talked about process modeling and use of case scenarios as techniques. Yeah, I said earlier when I started giving you those techniques, I said we are going to, process modeling is also a technique we use in this analysis. I said earlier that we'll look at certain techniques that can be used in the end, and I also said there is no standby technique that you say this is a must. This technique is what must be used by every business analyst. You select a technique based on need, based on the work you are out to do, based on the need of the organization, and to determine the kind of change you are bringing in, what value you want to give to the stakeholders will determine the technique you will use to handle to handle the case at hand. So process modeling and case scenarios, yes, you use them as techniques in business analysis, but not in all cases, and not that every business analyst must use process modeling as a technique to handle the case of business analysis. I don't know, Bolu, if I've answered your question. I don't know, but I believe I must have addressed your questions. We have several techniques. So you select the technique that is best for you. The sole aim of the whole matter of business analysis is provide solution. Is to provide solution, bring in solution, create value to the stakeholders, understanding the need. Understanding the need is the first thing every business analyst do. What is the need that the stakeholders identified? It will guide you in other things you are doing. So there is no particular technique that you say every business analyst must use this technique in every situation and to address every need. So I just decided to select a few techniques because of these are techniques that are in our body of knowledge. I know in the first class I introduced business analysis body of knowledge to us, and I introduced that to us. So I just decided to streamline our our fundamentals, our introductions to what we have in the body of knowledge. Doesn't mean that is and the only problem. When it comes to the practice, it's a total ball game entirely. What we do now is to get the fundamentals. When we get to the stage of practice, you will use what you are comfortable with. based on your understanding and your of business analysis. So, thank you, Bolu, for your response. Yeah, so we'll also look at the key concept in business analysis. In this area, we'll talk about uh, key concept as let me say terminologies, let me say ideas that as business analysts will come across or we use in the course of business analysis, or will definitely come across them in our practice. So these are generally terms used in the process or in the practice of business analysis. And we'll look at the 6 major key concepts that we are going to always come across in the course of our practices as a business analyst. So we'll look at context, look at need, look at values, look at change, look at stakeholders, look at solutions. So these 6 concepts are concepts that we always use in the practice of business analysis. So we have to understand this concept because they work together. They are interchangeably when it comes to the practice of business analysis. So you cannot come to tell us, maybe come to say understand needs, start understanding values, start understanding change, start understanding solutions, start understanding stakeholders, start understanding the concept. So these are the 6 major, these are the 6 major concepts we use in the practice of business analysis. So now, I think when we talk about change, we talk about the act of transformations in response to a need. That's normally in the English term change means doing something differently, bringing a different approach to something. So what in business analysis we look at it as transformations in response to needs, to the need of the stakeholders in response to need. So the act of transformation in response to need is what we look at as change. That process of transformations in response to need is what we look at as a change. So in the course of practicing business analysis, because of practicing business analysis, we are change bringers. We bring in change. So we respond to needs to bring in change, just to provide values to the stakeholders. So need is, we see need as a problem or an opportunity. As a problem or an opportunity to be addressed. So I think identifying need, or let me say need, is the first thing in that in the process of business analysis is the first thing that brings about, that engineered or brings about the whole process. The need, because there must be a need before any other thing can go on. Requirements we gather in the process of business analysis in response to what? To need that's identified by the stakeholders, both internal and the external stakeholders. So this need is, in some cases, can be a problem that needs to be fixed. In some cases can be an opportunity that needs to be addressed. So solutions, we see it as a specific way of satisfying one or more needs in the context. That's a specific way of bringing satisfaction to a need as identified. We see it as what? Solution. We know what solution actually means, bringing in solution based on need. So the stakeholders, we see them as a group, or can be an individual that is related to what? To the change, to the need, or to the solution. So stakeholders can often be defined or be identified based on interest or on impact or on influence, because the stakeholders influence the change or impacts, or let's say individuals or group of individuals that are related to change based on interest, based on the impact or on the interest or on influence. So in the course, we have the external stakeholders, we have the internal stakeholders which can be the management committee, the management and the top management staff, which can be the customers, which can be the end users, that's the customers, which can be even the business analysts, can be the stakeholder. So it can be an individual, a group of individuals that are what's related to what we are working on, based on their interest, based on their influence, or based on their impact to what we are really working on. So as a analyst, we will be able, or we should be able to identify stakeholders that we are working with and have relationships with our stakeholders. So the value, in this case, now value, look at value as a gain, can be direct or can be indirect, can just as an intangible gain that is benefited. That's the benefit of the solution. That's the benefit of the solution that is being provided. The benefit of this solution, see it as the value that the stakeholders gets. So context actually deals with the circumstances of the change. The circumstances of the change is what we really refer to as context. So these six core concepts actually work together. They interchange themselves. So change, solutions, context, value, need, and stakeholders, they all work together. They have a way of interchanging themselves. So change can be in response to context, can be in response to can be there to satisfy a need. It can be there to implement solutions, to increase value to stakeholders. So so also is, let's say, the stakeholders can participate in the process of change, can they are the ones that experience the need and brings about the change and participate in the process of change, and they use the solutions and understand the perspective of the context. So these six core concepts interchangeably work with themselves. So it's better we get to the proper understanding of these six concepts. So we talk about business analysis knowledge areas. We talk about we define it as let me say what a business analyst needs to understand, and the tasks at that must be performed in the process of business analysis. The task that must be performed in the process of business analysis, that's the knowledge that every business analyst is expected to have, and the tasks that is being performed in the process of business analysis. Talk about the six areas. Talk about the business analysis planning and monitoring. Talk about the elicitation and collaborations. Talk about the requirement life cycle management. Talk about the strategy analysis, the requirement analysis and design. Talk about solution evaluations. So so these are those areas these are knowledge that every analyst is expected to have in the practice of business analysis. Because in the planning and monitoring area, this is the first thing you do. gather information. This is the first thing you do in the part of business analysis. You plan on how the whole process, the whole life cycle will go. The elicitations, how to get in information from the stakeholders, how to manage information all through the process of all through the process in collaboration with the stakeholders, the requirement lifecycle management, and how to manage this requirement all through the process of all through the process, because there can be change, can be issues arising, there can be conflict, can be crisis. So the process of management of this requirement all through the life cycle of the project or the product is what we look at here. The strategy analysis, look at the requirements analysis and design definition, uh, uh, and that's the how to analyze and design, how to get the proper analysis of proper understanding of the requirements, and I think I explained this in our last class. Solution evaluations and all those things, we see them. It's good to have a proper knowledge of these processes, because in the course of practice of business analysis, this helps us. The knowledge of this six knowledge helps us properly practice business analysis. At least it will give us a guide. As what I said earlier, we have nothing that will say it must go this way. Doesn't mean that it must go one by one. After planning, it must be elicitation, it must be requirement, it must be static analysis. Anyone can come before anyone. Just that I said, planning and monitoring comes first, because this is a stage where you design what will happen and at what time all through the life cycle of your work. So at business analysis, you design how you go about your work, your uh, your work. So in our last class, I think the class we had last, we talked about business analysis perspective, the agile, the business intelligence, information technology, business architecture, business process management. So yeah, we say there are the perspectives of business analysis. Here we say business analysis we talk about it being an extensive discipline and varies across different scenarios and different disciplines. Talk about that these five perspectives, these are just nominated by the body of knowledge to highlight or to reflect common views of business analysis, to reflect the common views of business analysis. So we'll talk about the agile, the business intelligence, information technology, business architecture, business process management. So, business analysis at large is a process of enabling change in an organization. A process of, because we are change bringers, a process of enabling change in an organization. Because of enabling change in an organization, that's bringing value to stakeholders uh, based on needs and circumstances. That's the context of the context. So as business analysts, or what we should put in our mind, that we are change bringers, we provide values, we understand needs, we provide value to stakeholders, and we understand needs. From the interpretation of needs, getting of informations will bring in change using the particular techniques that will provide that change, and provide value to stakeholders. So so Okay, so I'm sorry for the network uh, glitches and just being thrown up and down by our network. So I'm sorry for that. So I don't know if you have any contribution, any question. I saw somebody, I think Yaji, commented on the material, the need for the materials for extensive studies. So no problem. I'll work on that. I'll work on sharing the materials with you or get the materials for you. That's not an issue at all. I'll work on that. So any contribution, any question? Any question from anybody, any contribution? Don't understand what this network is just doing with me here. Do you have any question? Do you have any contribution? Any question? So so I should believe we don't have any question, so let's contribute to it. Do you have anything to say? Maybe in the course of the weeks that you have, what you have learned, have you practiced anything? Have you put anything into practice? Can we come back and is there anything
Hello,
you
can you
really
see me
want
on
to
your
say?
screen? Mr. Kingsley, can you see
Maybe
me on
in
your
the
screen?
have you practiced any?
Are you there? Can you see me on your screen? Okay, I guess his network is bad.
Okay.
So, guys,
Yes, I can see you.
oh, okay. So, I think
Yes, I can. I can.
we can save more of our contributions to the 9 o'clock session. In the
I
evening, we're
can
going
see
to be coming back.
you very well.
Okay, we're going to be coming back. So,
I
hopefully, we should
can.
make
I
that.
am here.
All right.
So, guys,
Oh, okay. So, I think we can save more of our contributions to the 9 o'clock session. In the evening, we're going to be coming back. Okay, we're going to be coming back. So, hopefully, we should make that. All right.
Okay. Wow. Network is really bad. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you for your time. So we'll see you again in the evening. Thank you.